Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chip and Chase, the NRL Fan Podcast. My name is Steve, and this is Dave. Hey, Dave.
G'day, Steve. How are you today, mate? Good to see you in your colours.
Thanks, mate.
I tell you what, mate, after that Easter Monday miracle from the Tigers, I'm feeling a bit like what's behind me, mate, white and empty.
Very good. Well, this is episode 8 of our podcast, our April 19th episode. We're a day late because there was, as you said, a Easter Monday clash, and we're going to review all the games of round 6 for the 2022 NRL season and then preview the games to come in round 7. So let's get into it with the first game of the round, of round 6, which was just turning it on here, the Raiders up against the Cowboys look, seriously, this game, Ricky Stewart lost his crap, if you want, over the game after in the post-match conference. Raiders were up 12-0.
Yeah.
And then the second half just switched off. Nothing at all. Cowboys scored an 18-point unanswered points. Raiders couldn't trouble them at all in the second half. A really disappointing effort by the Raiders. I tipped the Raiders in this one, thinking they're specials. They're going to go on and win this game, and I'm going to start off the round with my tipping. How good's that? But no, wasn't to be.
Yeah. Look, Steve, I was expecting a big game from the Raiders at home, and especially the way things have been going for them. But as you said, mate, they got off to a quick start and then just kind of dropped their marbles, man, in the second half. Just they couldn't put anything together. Mate, I'll tell you what, it was a scrappy old game. There was a lot of drop ball in this one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drop ball. So Ricky definitely wouldn't have been happy about this performance. I thought Tom Starling was a standout.
Yeah, from dummy half, played really well.
From dummy half. And Valentine Holmes had a big game too, I thought, scoring a try as well.
Yeah, he did. He's back to his best, showing the form that he had before he went away to the NFL. But you'd think Canberra at home at GIO Stadium, in front of a nearly 12,000 crowd, like I said, started well and just nothing they tried, nothing that just, it was like they fell asleep in the second half.
Yeah, big Jason Taumalolo ran for 240 running meters, so he had a really massive running game. And I said Tom Starling, he topped the tackle count with 50 tackles for the game.
Yeah, well, they needed to do a lot of tackling because the Cowboys dominated the possession in the second half, and looked pretty good. The Cowboys, obviously, the first half for them wasn't a stellar performance, but whatever the coach said at halftime worked because they came out and fired in the second half, and we'll be happy that they got away with a 18-12 victory.
They definitely came home strong in that one. So good work to the Cows.
Yep. So that was the game, the Thursday night game. Then we skip ahead to the next game, which was the Rabbitohs against the Bulldogs. I was at this game and thoroughly enjoyed. Just trying to get my graphics working here.
How was it, Stevie?
Yeah, it was a great crowd. Just over 30,000 crowd there. Obviously, the Easter show happening next door. A lot of Bulldog supporters there. There's a very vocal crowd. Bulldogs were up early, scoring the first try. Looked pretty dangerous. And then there was a sin bin, which Jeremy Marshall-King got sin binned in the 26th minute, which was a turning point in the game because South ended up scoring 18 points while he was off. But you could tell that the Bulldogs went in with a game plan to really slow down the play the ball and try to stop South's momentum. And while that worked for a while, it pushed the referee's limit. And Jeremy Marshall-King had been warned a number of times leading up to the sin bin, and it just went too far. And so Ben Cummins, I think it was at the time, was just like, no, I'm not having any more of this. Unfortunately, you're off to the bin, and it was a turning point, and South built their momentum from that, winning 36-16.
I think Cookie got 2 quick tries in that period, didn't he?
He did, yes. Here's the highlights here, and they went on to get a first hat trick, first hat trick of his career, and he did come through the Bulldogs lower grades. After being a Dragons or a Wollongong junior, but spent some time at the Bulldogs before South signed him, and so I think for him it was a big game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he turned on the afterburners a couple of those runs, mate. No one got near him. So, yeah, look, it was a gritty first half from the Dogs. I thought they showed like a little bit of resolve in them, which was good. But maybe some of the Rabbitohs supporters were a little bit worried. But as it turns out, there was nothing to be worried about because, after Cookie got away with those couple, the floodgates opened. Alex Johnson scored a double as well. And that little try from the scrum base from Cookie.
Untouched.
The hair's tingling when I see tries like this, mate. So, unfortunate for the Dogs. I just outclassed in the end by the Rabbits. Josh Jackson had a massive game for the Dogs, making 54 tackles.
And Blake Taff, 6 from 6 conversions was really impressive, and quite a few of them from the sideline. So South's not losing anything there with Latrell Mitchell out at fullback. Taff is, while he's not the gun player and the legend that Latrell is, he doesn't let you down. He tries 110%, and his goal kicking is probably a little bit more predictable as being on target than Latrell's kicking of late.
For sure, yeah. So good work to the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Yeah, well done to the Rabbitohs. Good victory there against the Dogs on a traditional Good Friday clash. And the other Friday night game was the Panthers up against the Broncos in what was a one-sided affair. Panthers 40-12 at Bluebet Stadium in front of a good crowd of 19,406. Broncos, I think the score didn't necessarily reflect the closeness of the game early on. It was the Broncos scored the first try, and it took 20 minutes before the Panthers scored their first try.
Like the 30th minute that they got their first points.
Yeah, it was a good effort early on, but just like you expect in these games, the classier sides are able to hang in there, and even though they're pushed to the limit early, they come through in the end and are just too classy. The Panthers, scoring 40-12. It didn't seem like it was that one-sided. But, they're just too classy.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this one. Panthers were at their best as usual. Broncos did hold on for somewhat, but just couldn't keep going. Turned out to be an absolute thumping. For me, mate, just Api Coruscant every week.
Great player.
Busy little bee, mate, and him and as Isaiah Yeo made 46 tackle each, and I've got Appy and Cleary and Yeo as my standouts. I thought Katoni, Staggs and Reynolds had moments of brilliance.
Yeah, they did.
Game, but just wasn't enough. Couldn't match it with the Panthers.
And two sin bins here. We're seeing the face slapping going on. That saw Edwards and Palacia both go to the bin for 10 minutes.
What's that, mate?
Yeah.
That's a grace. Who slaps someone in the face?
Well, they can't punch anymore, so they're doing open-handed slaps. But
which is even worse.
Yeah, exactly. But 7 tries scored here by the Panthers, but no doubles or hat-tricks. Everyone, Luai, Sorensen, Staines, May, Martin, Lenu, and Tago all getting tries. Scott Sorensen's try was a good one. Doesn't get many, and you could see these teammates
I like that one.
were pretty impressed with that try, and a great pickup there for that try. So impressive effort.
One of the commentators said, "What's the little ringer that's on the bench, Steve?"
For who?
Brian Do'o would
yeah.
be looking there like in misery, just looking at his side of the field where he used to score and seeing Tyrone May and that other kid killing it out there.
Yeah, they're doing really well. So that was the Panthers. Too good for the Broncos. And so Panthers continue on. That's 6 games unbeaten to start the season. So pretty impressive effort there. Then we move on to the 4th game of the round, which was the Manly Sea Eagles at home at Four Pines Park up against the Titans. This game, the Titans pushed Manly for a bit, but ultimately Manly were just their experienced players just stood up and came to the fore. And like I said, the Titans were coming back late, came back with some late tries to try to push Manly and give them their fans something to worry about. But all in all, Manly just hanging on. They led 24-4 at halftime. Only would score 2 more points in the second half, a penalty goal to Cherry Evans. So the second half was all the Titans, but Manly's lead in the first half was just too much.
Yeah, they mounted a good comeback in that second half there, but I guess it's just too little, too late, man. Because they're actually a good team, the Titans, and they're just not finding way to finish games and stuff like that. So, would you believe this stat? Manly winning that game missed 37 tackles, Steve.
Wow, that's a lot.
So, yeah, and big Jake Trbojevic tipped in at 45 tackles for the day. Dylan Walker ran for 200 metres.
Yeah, he's impressive when he comes on.
What about this Olakawatu kid, Steve?
Yeah, Olakawatu's doesn't let anybody down with his running and his defensive work as well. But
massive.
Sexton let the Titans down with his goal kicking. Only got 1 from 4, where Ruben Garrick got 4 from 4. So that extra 6 points could have been very handy. But ultimately, Manly, as I said, running away 26-18 victors in this game. So
Ruben Garrick, I thought too, quickly had a really strong game at fullback with Tommy Turbo out. And Kieran Foran bagged a try. That was his 50th try in his career. So good work to little Kieran Foran.
Yeah, he's showing some form, like his early days in Manly.
The old dog.
The old dog. All right, so we now look to the next game, which was the Storm up against the Sharks. This was billed as a pretty big game down at Amy Park in Melbourne. 16,286 fans turning up, and this was an exciting game. It was a pretty high quality game in that every time Melbourne scored, the Sharks would score. It would kind of like go to and fro a little bit. But then again, the Storm they know how to grind you out. They know how to play patient. And 5 tries to 3. Pappenhausen, Munster. Munster was a masterclass. He was just had one of his best games ever.
Yeah. Look, this was third versus second, and this was built up to be a cracker game, and it didn't disappoint, mate. It was quick, tough, and it was just kind of free flowing. I mean, the Melbourne Storm, they just find the gaps. I mean, you talked about Munster. Mate, some of the stuff I was seeing him do that night is just like he's could be one of the best players in the game on his day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of talk about where is he going? Is is he going to be staying at Melbourne, or are the Dolphins going to pick him up? Even Newcastle now are in the firing line for to sign him if they don't get Ponga. But I thought Nico Hines for the Sharks against his old club had a pretty good game. I mean, that kick across field there was an impressive effort, because it's a risk in your own area doing those kind of cross-field kicks, but he's got the skills and has the the patience and the kind of head to just do these things and see the spaces and be able to kick to the spaces. So well done to him.
Yeah, an honourable mention to Justin Olam, who bagged a double on the night. I thought he had a strong game. And all in all, it's a good effort by the Sharks, but Melbourne were just too good at home, mate.
Exactly. And Munster just throwing dummies left, right and centre, through 3 dummies in that particular try there. Melbourne, Cronulla unable to stop his class. So Melbourne running away with that one, 34-18, what was one of the better games of the weekend.
Good game.
It was a very good game. All right, then we turn our attention towards the next game, which was the Roosters up against the Warriors. This was billed as the 20-year anniversary of the grand final that these two played in back in 2002. They had a lot of the old boys from that game show up to witness this game. Played at the Sydney Cricket Ground in front of 11,000 fans. And another good game. Warriors early on looked really good against the Roosters, scoring the first try of the game. But once again, the classier teams just seem to know how to hold their nerve, and the Roosters ended up winning 22-14.
Yeah. I thought the Warriors got out of the gates quick here, and they looked promising at the beginning of this game. But I think both teams gave it a crack. Sean Johnson and Reece Walsh fine well together, Steve.
Yeah, they do.
And they showed it in that game at times. Victor Radley topped the defensive with 50 tackles. But, yeah, I can't believe this was played at the SCG over the Easter weekend and they could only get 11,000 supporters.
Yeah,
we're all Rooster supporters, honestly.
Yeah, it's very true. Obviously, the Warriors have a big following over here in Australia, but you'd think more than 11,000 would have got there for this game. The Warriors,
mate.
Yeah, the Warriors did lead 8-6 at halftime. I thought that penalty against Tedesco early on in the game could have maybe been a sin bin, and if it had been a player with less of a reputation, he may have been sent to the bin, but Tedesco got lucky there, I think.
Look, that's interesting that you bring that up, mate. And, I'm going to get a little bit frustrated here, but Jared Warrior-Hargraves absolutely whacked a bloke clean in the chin and was just penalised. I was calling for a sin bin the minute I saw it, and I thought it was definite sin bin. And, the bunker ruled it that it was just, I don't know. We've got a player that sits out for a week for hitting someone hard in the shoulder, and they're not even a sin bin if someone who clocks a bloke right in the jaw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying there. So that was the Roosters up against the Warriors in a disappointing turnout from the crowd for that one. All right, then we turn to the Dragons up against the Knights. This was a bit of a fiery game. There were a few heated moments in this one at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Again, another 11,000 strong crowd, with the Dragons winning 21-16. The field goal coming in the 77th minute to seal it for the Dragons, and Lomax copping a fine for his celebration over the top of Tyson Frizzell at one point in this game, which ended up in a bit of a melee.
Yeah, look, I don't think there was much in it, but
uncalled for.
Especially in a game where I think both teams were desperate for a win. I don't even know how Dragons pulled the win out here, because I don't think they played that well, the Dragons. So Ponga ran for 240 metres. I thought he was much more kind of involved in this game.
True.
Chris Randall topped the tackle count with 52 tackles. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on that game. Good work by the Dragons in the end, but I don't think it was very convincing from either teams.
No, exactly. It wasn't the highest quality game, but it was an exciting one for the fans there watching it. 21-16, the final score in that one, and the Dragons snagging a victory. And then the game that we were both at this one, and as a fan of neither side, this was an exciting game to be at. It was a great atmosphere at CommBank Stadium there in Parramatta. 28,366 vocal fans. The noise was crazy, and this was a game that everyone anticipated. Eels just blowing the Tigers away. Tigers hadn't had a victory all season. Eels flying high. One of the teams that are tipped to go all the way this year. And it was just a matter of time. Everyone thought, maybe the Tigers would start fast and hard, and but by the end of the game, Parramatta will have run away with it. But the Tigers just hung in there, and Parramatta, while they would come back and get the points even, just couldn't shake them. And it goes to show what one player in a team can do, with Hastings, absolutely, Jackson Hastings, leading this team around. He came in at halfback, pushed Luke Brooks to 5'8", and he could see him. I was watching the game, watching him closely. He was pointing and getting the players in position where he wanted them, and it was just brilliant. He made a few errors and had some kicks that went dead and things like that. Ended up kicking the winning field goal for a 21-20 victory to an unlikely Tigers over the Eels.
Then, Steve, I've got him in my standout player of the day. I thought he totally tore the Eels apart after watching closely on the replay when I got home.
Yeah.
Um,
You actually watched that one back. I can't believe you did that.
I went through the KO mini when
fair enough.
I was a bit deflated when I got home. But I did watch it back because I struggle at the games to catch everything. So I make sure I review it when I get home and stuff. Look, man, Para missed 34 tackles, and that's just not good enough.
No.
Where, our offense is brilliant at times, but I just think Brad Arthur needs to get back on focusing on our defense, and all the offense will come, if you have a strong defensive game.
Yeah.
Faluma grabbed a double. Standout for me was Hastings and the Tigers. I was really happy to see them get their first win of the season, take a bit of pressure off them and Madge. I was just disappointed that it was against my team. It was a sold-out Easter Monday miracle, and I was glad that we both attended it.
Yeah, it was a good one to be at. But if you were impartial or a Tigers fan, but I thought the Parramatta Eels were impatient. They had a lot of possession down in the Tigers' territory, but were instead of building pressure, they just tried to score off every attempt and came away with either a mistake or were unable to score, and so that was disappointing. They did have a few injuries. I know that RCG didn't come back and it is looking to have scans, I think, this week on a leg injury. They missed Paulo and his go forward and offloads in the middle.
100%.
And you could see that there was some there bit of tension there with Gutherson and Jackson Hastings, and sorry, not the Hastings, the fullback for the Tigers, going at each other.
Something about Gutherson today,
Laurie,
and I'm not going to reveal it on the show. I'll just keep it a little secret. I'll talk to you after.
Yeah, I heard about him not being happy with the coach after the game, having made some comments about the coach.
Yeah. Apparently, there's been a few heated words from Gutherson to Brad Arthur in the sheds after the game on some of his the personnel that he picked to replace others.
Interesting. So that was like I said, a very exciting game to be at, and the Tigers getting away with a field goal. Mitchell Moses missing this conversion when it went to 20-all, which is unlike him. That could have been the sealer for the game with 10 minutes to go. And then both teams just couldn't get in position for a proper field goal. But then the Tigers, with no time left on the clock, were able to seal the victory, getting the 1-point field goal at the very end. So well done to the Tigers.
Just a quick shout out to Little Reed. He hit 50 tackles on the day.
There you have it. So that was the round 6, and the ladder at the end of that round looks like this. So there you have it. There is the Panthers still unbeaten on 12 points. You've got the Storm sitting solo on second place on 10 points. And then there's a bit of a logjam with the Sharks, Eels, Roosters, and Manly all on 8 points. Rabbitohs sneaking into the 8, equal with the Cowboys on 6 points. On for and against, the Warriors just outside the 8. And then you've got the Titans, Knights, Raiders, Dragons, Broncos. And with that win, Tigers get off the bottom of the table with a -63 for and against. The Bulldogs -89, bringing up last place.
No worries. I don't actually think we can see 8 and 16, just letting you know, Steve.
Yes, we can on my screen, so maybe it's just on yours.
Wonderful.
Okay, so that's the ladder at this part of the season. So we look ahead now to the next round games, and there are some interesting ones. We start off with round 7, So we've got Sharks up against Manly. This is the Thursday night game, 7:50 p.m. kickoff at PointsBet Stadium, and Sharks getting a home game, third place versus sixth place. Probably one of the games of the round as far as the two top teams here. A difficult one to tip. I'm going to go with, I think, the Sharks in a close one.
Yeah, it is a difficult one to tip. Put me down for Manly to get a win.
Okay, so you got Manly against, so we differ on that one. So that's round one game. Then we look ahead to the next game, which is the Broncos up against the Bulldogs, 14th versus 16th. But I think the Broncos are a better team at this point in the season than what the Bulldogs are showing. It is at Suncorp as well, 7:55 p.m. kickoff. So I'm going to be tipping the Broncos here.
All right. Bulldogs, I'm back, mate. You showed me enough in the last game. I think you can beat Broncos this time.
Okay, so we differ in that one as well. Then we go ahead to the Cowboys up against the Titans. This is played at Queensland Country Bank Stadium on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. This is another tough one because I think the Titans are better than the 10th place at their position at the moment, and the Cowboys may be a little bit lucky to be where they are. And the betting is at like $1.90 even, so they can't even split these two teams. I think I might go Titans.
Yes, thank you. Cut it short. Lock me in for Titans too, Steve.
Okay, there we go. We agree on that one. All right, and then the Saturday game, Tigers coming off a victory up against the Rabbitohs. Do the Tigers gain momentum from that, or do they party too hard and then start to go back to some old habits? I don't know, but I would hope that the Rabbitohs have enough class to beat the Tigers in what could be another game like the Eels where you think, you hope your team doesn't show up and be a little bit complacent and just expect to...
Who you tipping?
I'm tipping the Rabbitohs.
All right, mate. I'm tipping Tigers to get their second win.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely joking. I'm tipping Rabbitohs.
No, okay. So just quickly, you're tipping the Rabbitohs?
Yes, Rabbitohs.
Okay. Then the next game, Knights up against your Eels, 2 p.m. Sunday game, played at McDonald's Jones Stadium in Newcastle. I don't think Parramatta will lose two games back-to-back. They will be hurting big time from losing to the Tigers. I expect them to put on a big performance and wallop the Knights.
Fair enough. Look, I've been to Newcastle a couple of times, and they definitely get up at home, Steve. I can tell you that much.
They do.
I think they were hurt a little bit too by the loss to the Dragons. So I'm a bit nervous about this one, but hopefully the boys should bounce back strong. My boys, the Parramatta Eels, lock them in.
Okay. Then the Panthers up against the Raiders. This is an interesting game. The second game on the Sunday. I can't see, while the Raiders were disappointed with that loss and Ricky would have ripped into them and, named some names kind of thing and pointed out that individuals were lackluster and he's no longer going to cover for them and, he's really calling them out for their performance. The Panthers are just too classy and they're not going to lose to the Raiders. No way.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. Raiders are going downhill, I think. Panthers, even though they're on top of the ladder, they're on the rise.
On the rise, okay.
Panthers.
The Panthers for that one. Now, we've got an interesting situation here where we've got two Monday night games, or Monday games, I should say. We've got the Dragons up against the Roosters. This one is played at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It is a Dragons home game, but the Roosters, obviously, that's their home as well. So there's not really a home ground advantage here for the Dragons. While they were improved this past weekend, I still think the Roosters are too classy. I'm going to be tipping the Roosters to beat the Dragons.
Yep. Boys from Bondi for me.
Okay. And then the final game, another Monday night one. This one played in Melbourne at Amy Park. Storm sitting pretty in second position up against the Warriors, who are just outside the 8, as I mentioned. The Warriors have a good record against Melbourne. Have beaten them a couple of times, even down there in Melbourne. But I just think at this point in the season, the Storm are clicking along nicely, and I can't see them losing to the Warriors.
Yeah, look, man, I told you that I'm starting to pick with my head and not my heart anymore. Whilst I would like to tip the Warriors, I'm tipping the Storm, Steve. But I wouldn't mind losing this tip, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, don't mind seeing some of those top teams lose to the underdogs. All right, well, that pretty much does it for today's podcast. I know you're disappointed with the Eels' loss there against the Tigers in what was a very exciting game, but nevertheless, maybe a wake-up call for the Eels, and they'll knuckle down now and go on a bit of a streak for you.
Definitely, mate. They have to just kind of back to the drawing board. Like I said, tighten up that defence and everything else should come.
Hopefully some of those infighting things with Gutho and the coach are not going to derail.
It'll be interesting to see, what transpires the next couple of days in the media about that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. It was a good round of footy.
Yeah, exciting.
It was exciting, and I think over the Easter break, it just kind of, gave it an extra bit of a special feeling.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, that is today's podcast done and dusted. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to watch our podcast. Please give us a thumbs up and a like there on YouTube, and feel free to share the podcast with your family and friends. But for this week, I'm Steve. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks heaps, guys. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you next Monday.
Yep, talk to you then.
Bye-bye.